Backup fail?
No, it just went red.
We're live.
Hello and welcome to our third and final Game of Thrones book talk. We're talking about part 3 today. And but before we get started, we want to let you know about our tutors talk on this Monday at 7 o'clock, this upcoming Monday the 7th at 7 o'clock.
Right, so John Horrington, who is a historian, he will be presenting a discussion because we were doing Victoria as well as Game of Thrones. He'll be talking about the Tudors, which, is that the War of the Roses?
I think it predates the War of the Roses. It's like I think it's led to the Tudor dynasty.
Right. So anyone who's interested in hearing a wonderful lecture, he's great, very exciting. He has his own podcast. Just type in John Horgan. And then he will do a PowerPoint presentation that starts at 7 p.m. in the Autofalo meeting room. We will have light refreshments.
And we also want to talk about our Game of Thrones summer finale feast, which will be very exciting. Make the Fela room into a castle. This is going to be on August 19th from 2 to 4. And we're
We've lost our connection.
Oh.
Sorry.
That's really cool.
It's going to be awesome.
Will you come to that?
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome, and I'll grab the cookbook later.
You know, the weather's bad. What's the chance we need the hotspot?
Okay, and if you want to participate and enter into some friendly competition where you can win the cookbook, you can sign up to bring a recipe. It doesn't necessarily have to be a recipe from the cookbook.
Poison.
But no poison. Guest rights must be observed at all times.
Right.
And
no beheadings.
No poisoning, no beheadings, and and it should be a lot of fun if you want to dress up in a costume.
I'm going to bring 2 different things. I've already picked 2 recipes.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to bring yet, but I have to make that decision real soon. So if you want to come in and look at the Game of Thrones cookbook, we will have it available at the reference desk for you. And you can sign up right online. We'll put the link for the sign up in the comments of this post.
Okay.
And if there's nothing else that we need to promote right now?
Well, if you want, we can later on mention, but don't forget it's our opera movie night on Tuesday nights, KNIGHT, at the movies next Tuesday, and that's at 6 p.m. in the Fela room. Jim Carroll, who is our opera aficionado, will do a little introduction. The opera is called Roberto Devereux, and this is based on Elizabeth I and her lover Roberto. Does not have a happy ending, but most operas don't.
That's true. Also, we should point out that we still have 2 prizes for participation in social media. If you want to be eligible to win either one of these prizes, coming up on Monday is going to be the puzzle set will be the prize for next Monday. So if you want to be eligible to win, participate on our Game of Thrones post, use the hashtag PPLGOT2017 to be eligible for win, and winners are chosen at random. Also, a couple new button designs. We did a poll online and the Tyrell's won, so if you want your Tyrell button, come and get it. And we've been making a lot of buttons, and I think we actually just made our final batch of buttons, so if you want to collect them all, now's the time.
I would love for someone to post if they've collected all of them.
I bet there are people who have.
And maybe even the day of the feast, they might show up with their buttons.
Come in with your pieces of flair.
Yeah.
And
although I was waiting to see "Winter is Here" button, I didn't see.
Oh yeah, we should make. If I ask Jen Jones to make the other button, she's gonna.
She doesn't mind.
She's having fun. It's like a press. She's working a deltoid.
I don't want any carpal tunnel.
Right. We'll have to put her on a workman's comp because
although she could use her sword hand.
Sword hand. Yes. Okay, so shall we get started?
Well, I'm shocked.
So Jennifer just finished the book right before we came in. So do you have any initial?
I am Can I give stuff away now?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm heartbroken that they chopped off Ned's head
With his own sword.
with his own sword.
Remember, you asked me if we were going to see ice again.
And you said that we would. So I keep hope. There was a part of me that was really hoping that they made it seem like he was dead, but that he'll show up later on. But I think that since they've put his head on a pike, right,
Yeah,
and
it's
been
pretty
showing
final.
that around a little bit.
Yeah.
And then
It's
Daenerys.
very heartbreaking.
The end of Daenerys is fabulous. I could have kind of guessed that with the dragon eggs, but it was inflaming to say the least.
So Daenerys, and you don't really get that from this book, but you find that out later on that she succeeded where Targaryens have failed for generations because dragons have been gone from the earth for hundreds of years,
Yes.
and there have been many attempts to try to bring them back, including the tragedy at Summerhall where King Aegon tried to hatch some eggs with a fire ritual and ended up killing him and his heir, and that's how Aerys became king, the Mad King Aerys, Dany's father.
So
So
that,
that was the last
in this
attempt.
book.
That's not in this book.
Right.
It's like some backstory.
Yeah.
But that's where Rhaegar was born actually at
Right.
the tragedy at Summerhall. So while all this was happening, the fire and everything, Dany's brother Rhaegar was being born. But yeah, she
The
succeeded.
mother of dragons.
The mother of dragons. Yep, she succeeded where generations of Targaryens had failed before her. So it's pretty special.
So can I just mention that from a personal experience of reading an 803-page book while working full-time and enjoying this fabulous summer of reading and our two
In a
programs.
second book club.
And the second book club, although I can bang it out. If I can bang it out 800. I got up at 5:30 this morning and I power read 250 pages today. So I want to thank the staff for giving me the opportunity to re-love reading a whole book in this way and getting to talk about it and talking about dragons. I mean, I'm sitting across from a dragon. We're doing all these programs coming up, and there's some artists in it. I said, we love dragons now. And she showed me a picture of a student who had drawn a dragon. So this keeps going on and on. So thank you.
Well, thank you, because I have to tell you, all day long the staff was really enjoying the fact that they knew that you were coming up to the end of this book, and it was all day. They're coming up to me. Liz, my supervisor, came. Does Jennifer know about Ned yet? Is she at that part yet? Does she know? or Shane, what page is she on? So the staff has been enjoying the suspense of waiting for you to discover.
And I did
What
it.
did you think overall of the story or
I think it's fabulous.
his writing stuff?
This is absolutely fabulous writing, even though there's a lot of war and killing.
A lot of violence.
And it's violent in a way that's, because you're reading it, you can envision it. And I'm going, this is, but it's not bizarre fantasy. It's very relatable in terms of history and how wars are fought and how land is, it's just, I think it's humanity.
Yeah.
So, but I think
it's
it's
like a
right into
realistic fictional world. It's
with some fantasy thrown in.
Yeah.
See, like I love Daenerys and the magic of the dragon eggs.
Yeah.
And and you can really see Cersei and Caitlyn. And now I understand why everyone liked Arya and Sansa and all these women characters.
Yeah.
For a man to write
It
like
really-
this
yeah.
so well about women,
Yeah.
I think.
No, I
could
think
be off.
that's rare because I
Yes.
think a lot of times when you read about a men writing women, there was a controversy online this week because of somebody who wrote about women and all they wanted to talk about was how women wanted to be men or have certain aspects of male anatomy or something like that. And it's like, although I don't walk around as a woman thinking like that all the time. So to me, it wasn't relatable. But he really does write about women in a relatable way, where I feel
Well,
like
Cersei,
He even goes as far as have Brienne of Tarth.
Brienne of Tarth. Yeah, if you
That's-
go on to Clash of Kings, you
Sorry.
will meet Brienne of Tarth.
Is
It's
that-
It's
wonderful.
another
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's
strong
okay.
woman character.
Yeah. So between that, but you get it. You like Daenerys because she's beautiful, and the whole silver and the silver horse and the descriptions with Drogo, and so here this is that felt very much like being on the Sahara. So it was like an Arabian Nights kind of
Yeah.
feel to it, whereas the other stuff is more medieval with the knights and the armor. And I would get confused. Gold I knew was Lannister, but some of the color stuff it would help. But what I find fascinating is that Martin, he just kept throwing names in, one name after another name after another.
Yeah, and sometimes so similar that you're like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, wasn't that? So,
But I mean, it's like, could he not have any more characters? What's that all about?
I know there's a lot of characters, and it actually the world just keeps growing as we go further and further in, and that's why he actually sometimes uses a wiki of Ice and Fire, which you'll find on the resources of Ice and Fire, because he has trouble sometimes keeping up with the world he's created because it's so vast now. In 2 volumes.
Is that Dave?
I think you've earned a free copy. Right?
All stuff that really kind of predates. Yeah, and it talks about some of the places we hear about, but we don't get to see. Like, there's a whole chapter on Ashai, which we hear about a lot. It talks about the Doom of Valeria, the Children of the Forest, the Long Night. It has,
Back.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Unless she's moved on from a Storm of Swords, I don't know if she's.
Is that
Add a second book club
For
the series.
I've thought about it. Maybe not in the fall, but maybe in the spring. We'll see.
who's going to write another?
Well, we maybe go from a Game of Thrones to a Clash of Kings, just go right to the second one. But we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
Because I think that there might be a little bit of interest for that, but it'll depend on what our schedule. Had to grow up pretty quickly. At the start of the book, he's a boy training in the yard with his brothers. By the middle, with both of his parents absent, he's the acting Lord of Winterfell. Then that we end the book, because the book does cover, I think, about the series of about a year.
I couldn't get a real sense of that. How much time was covered?
They mentioned it at one point that Ned had been away from Winterfell for about a year or something like that. They mentioned that, but you don't.
But you're right. You kind of lose. track of,
but then you think so. The whole continent, the whole vast. Or I've heard it said that it's about 1,000 miles. So, and that'd be like marching from here to Florida.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a pretty long march. And then it's moving.
But they're on horses.
They're on horses, but then Rob's moving an army of tens of thousands of men.
Not everybody.
And he goes from here to River Run. That's a long march too. So you think that the time would have passed. Some of these things take a lot of time. And he was hand for quite some time before Robert died.
Okay, so by crowning him king, he was in Winterfell when they crowned him?
No, he was actually in River Run, so he was
Okay.
in Kat's family's home.
Okay.
So they
Which
had,
is the
because they
Tullys.
had been fighting in the Riverlands. They've
Yes.
been trying to get because Kat took Tyrion.
Right.
The Lannisters.
Right.
Moved in on River Run, which is Kat's family's house.
Right.
So the Starks went down to defend it and to try to rise up against the Lannisters to get Ned free, who at that point was a prisoner.
Right.
And so they were in River Run and debating about who should be the king they bow to, because they don't want to bow to Joffrey. obviously.
Right.
and they don't feel that Renly really has the right to proclaim himself king, being Robert's younger brother, and they don't particularly like Stannis.
Okay, so just a point of clarification. So if they were at River Run,
Yep.
where was Joffrey?
Joffrey's in King's Landing.
Oh,
So
okay.
King's Landing doesn't have a shield, it's right here.
Okay, all right, and River Run is over here.
And here with the Tullys, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so so they make Robb King of the North, because in the past, when it was 7 divided kingdoms, the Starks were always the kings of the
Right.
North. So they're just taking up that custom again and proclaiming Robb Stark the King of the North.
So it's almost like what is the European Union breaking up?
Yeah,
So they've broken away
Brexit.
from.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's a Brexit. It's Nexit because so, but yeah, that's exactly what it is. They're claiming their independence, and but they're naming a 15-year-old boy their
Right.
king. So that's
Well,
pretty-
Joffrey was, who we know
Yeah.
didn't, is there someone, okay.
The
Feel
other
free to
comment.
interrupt us.
The other comment was, my feed keeps popping out, but I want to say that the book was better than expected. I love finding out that Meister Aemon is a Targaryen.
Yeah, that was a wonderful reveal. I
Was
felt.
is that the one you and I talked
Yeah,
about?
that we talked about
Yes.
at lunch. Yeah.
So who's this? Are they
Karen.
from- Oh, it's Karen. Oh, okay.
Hi, Karen on the train.
Yes, Karen, when I read that at 2 p.m. today, I ran right up to Kate and I said, can you believe it? And she was very understanding and that it meant a lot that I got it.
Yeah.
You know, that was an important piece.
Yes.
So I agree with you, Karen.
Yeah, because Aemon, when you don't really realize it, you would never know that Maester Aemon was a Targaryen, and he's Daenerys' uncle.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty
But you
great
did.
uncle.
Okay.
Great uncle. So, yeah, he's leading a host into war. This Robb, and you see Kat trying to walk that really thin line of trying to guide him and advise him,
I don't like Kat.
mother him at the
I
same
don't
time.
like Kat.
Some people have that reaction.
I
She's
don't, I don't like
yeah.
Cersei. I don't like Kat.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
They are
I
hard to like.
They can be, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you do see kind of parallels between them a little bit with how
Yeah.
they're both, feel like everything they're doing for their children.
But at some point in my head, I went, did Kat start the war by taking Tyrion?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Comment. Someone says it in today's setting, it's populism versus corporatism.
Yeah, and I think
Can you explain that?
so. I think that's more of like what we're looking at in the future of the series. So like where it is right now, I would say like you have the Lannisters who are more corporatism, and populism would be more Jon Snow or Dany.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's absolutely kind of because Dany and Jon are really more rulers for the people, trying to think about the good of the people.
Right.
Where
Not their pockets.
yeah, the Lannisters are all about their brand. You know? yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, a little bit. And I've been seeing those comparisons a lot online lately. It's pretty crazy, yeah.
But Tyrion is great.
Oh, Tyrion's great, but
He really
in the
is.
comparison I heard today, I heard Tyrion referred to as the Tiffany. He's in exile from the rest of the family. Tiffany Trump.
Oh,
Yeah.
The one you never see.
That's what a lot of the comparisons that are going around online right now are comparing the Lannisters to.
Oh. But did Tyrion, so as I read through, his father wanted him to be claimed king.
So he wanted him to be the hand of the king.
The hand
so he
of the
wanted.
king.
So
Okay.
so that was interesting, right? We
Yeah.
heard about Tywin Lannister a lot
Yeah.
before we actually saw him on page. This Lion of Lannister.
Right.
So what was your impression of Tywin Lannister, who's spoken of so frequently?
That just
It's
went
natural
naturally.
progression.
Oh, I didn't look at that.
It's okay.
That's so cool.
But
Okay, so do we like
where
his
you?
feelings about his son?
Yeah.
Every time Tyrion made a comment, it was so spot on
Mm-hmm.
of reality. He wasn't
He's
whitewashing anything.
yeah.
So, because he said that means that Tywin knew that Jaime was dead.
or he was giving Jaime up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you remind me about where was Jaime at that point?
So Jaime had been captured in the Whispering Wood.
Okay.
So Jaime had a battle against Robb Stark. Robb Stark, for all that he is a 15-year-old boy, really outmaneuvered the Lannisters at this for this battle. He split his host, and they didn't expect him to do that. They thought the battle was won, and then here he showed up with tens of thousands of men at the Whispering Wood and took Jaime Lannister, who was a
bad guy.
He's a bad guy, but he's also a seasoned knight who's a warrior. Not, I wouldn't say well respected because of the whole Kingsland thing, but still skilled warrior. What renowned for his skills.
Yes.
And took him by surprise and ended up taking him captive.
Yeah.
And won that
Do we know
battle.
what they've done with him?
Well, when we end the book, he's in prison in Riverrun.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But yeah, it said, I think the thing that really brought Tyrion's attention to how his father was treating him when he said, "Oh, I want you to go to King's Landing,"
Right.
and Tyrion asked him, "Why me? Wouldn't you rather send my uncle or one?" And Tywin said, "You are my son," and that's when Tyrion knew that he was being referred to as his son because Tywin had given up on Jaime.
Okay.
So.
Well, I think Tywin's he's just the father, of a strong family.
So do you remember?
He's just doing his thing.
Do you remember during our history talk when we talked about the reigns of Castamere?
Yes.
And how they all hid in the mine and then they were flooded and killed that way?
Okay.
That was Tywin.
He flooded them?
He flooded those mines.
Okay.
He's the one who brought down the reigns of Castamere.
Okay.
That's his song that they sing when they're praising his cunning when they sing that song.
You just reminded me we will be having live music performed by the New England Chamber Players at the feast.
That's true.
So if there's anyone who really loves the music from the HBO series, we're going to have a live performance for about 30 minutes.
It'll be
So that
really
should be
fun.
great.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So the Lannisters seem to be extremely well prepared for war and conflict. I feel like they didn't get any of the sense of foreboding that we had with the Starks, right? Like Tyrion didn't know that there was going to be a war until he was taken. Meanwhile, Catelyn and Ned the whole time were kind of like, oh, there's going to be a conflict. We better raise our banners. But why would Tywin have thought that? He couldn't have known that this assassin was sent with this dagger that was going to indicate his son.
Well, isn't he always? He's just ready for war.
I think he's
That's
just
what I was
prepared.
gonna say. I think they're just trained to always be on guard.
Yeah.
I was wondering, reading this, if maybe
It's such a powerful family.
right, such a powerful
Wealthy
family. But I was wondering if there was maybe always kind of an idea that one day the Lannisters would be in power and they would have to be prepared for that eventuality, because it seems like, and I'm going to jump ahead on the questions a little bit, but when Varys was speaking to Ned in the prison, he claims that Cersei killed Robert sooner than she planned. Not just because Ned confronted her about her secret, but sooner than she planned, and that she would have needed to kill Robert eventually. She needed him out of the picture so that she could deal with his brothers Stannis and Renly. So there were other things.
So that shows
Cersei
her
from
path.
again?
Yeah.
Which family was Cersei?
Cersei's a Lannister.
Oh, she's a Lannister.
She's a Lannister.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yes.
to me,
Yes.
I was wondering,
Yes.
could maybe Lord Tywin have known about her intentions, or would know that this would be an eventuality? Because here you have Stannis and Renly were certainly ready to stake their claims. They've both kind of declared themselves king by the end of this book.
Yeah.
And so they must have been. Renly had been clearly planning that for a while. In fact, the reason why he was showing around Marjorie Tyrell's photo at court was, asking Ned, "Does she look like Lyanna?" Because he was going to bring her in to try to seduce Robert, because he was hoping to have a girl who looked like Lyanna, so that he could sway him away from Cersei.
Oh.
Yeah, using a little bait.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
but then after he declares himself king, he marries the Tyrell girl himself, marrying the strength of Highgarden to Storm's End, taking 2 out of the 7 kingdoms, and declares himself king. But Renly's really the younger brother, so Stannis is technically the one who is next in line.
Right,
And Stannis is someone who we hear about a lot, right? In
Right.
this book there, I remember there was one Sunday when you sent me, who is Stannis? Where is Stannis?
Yeah,
that was early,
and you said it
early
would be
on.
later.
Yeah, and so he's somebody that we see off screen because the entire time he's gathering his forces on Dragonstone and plotting and planning on Dragonstone. So,
So he didn't take down Joffrey. No, they
well,
just claimed
Joffrey's
that-
still,
Joffrey-
they've just declared themselves
Yeah.
kings. They haven't really, other than Renly's marriage alliance, he hasn't really done anything to be a king. He's,
Okay.
but he did take 2 out of the 7 just with that marriage alliance.
We have a question
Sure.
from Karen. Do you think Tywin knows that the kids are Jaime's?
Oh.
Interesting.
I don't think he knows that right now. I'm not sure he.
Ever
He
knows that?
insinuates it, but that's further.
Yeah.
He insinuates
Tywin?
an inappropriate.
Yeah,
Um,
I think he knows that there's an inappropriate closeness between Jaime. I don't know if he knows the extent to how inappropriate it is. But yeah, I don't think he suspects that Joffrey's actually not the legitimate heir of Robert Baratheon. I don't think he suspects that. I do think that he probably, if he wasn't in direct communication with Cersei about her worries about Stannis and Renly, he probably suspected himself. He probably had reasons to suspect himself that there might be some kind of trouble coming from the brothers for some reason or another.
Yeah.
But I don't think that he would know that it's not at this point. Maybe further on. But right now, I don't think that he would
Because
know.
he doesn't even make an issue of Jaime not being married or
Right.
forming
usually
a
they make
alliance
them get
that way.
married, right.
Well,
for political reasons.
And he wanted to do that originally. Jaime was actually, I think, supposed to marry Elia of Dorne, who ended up married to Rhaegar. But Jaime swore himself to the Kingsguard, and as a Kingsguard, you take no wife.
Right.
So, but Tywin was extremely angry when Jaime did that, and it deepened the rift between Tywin and King Aerys, because Tywin was King Aerys' hand at the time, and he felt as though Aerys should have refused Jaime, knowing what Jaime as Tywin's heir meant to him. So what did you think of the sudden and abrupt dismissal of Sir Barristan Selmy? It seemed an odd move and strangely one that was supported by most in the room. But why? And how does this display Cersei's perhaps a lack of political savvy? So it was Sir Barristan Selmy had served 3 kings.
Yeah.
And he was a very well-respected, very popular warrior in the kingdom.
Right. But he represented the old guard to her. Is
But
that why
you
she did it?
serve on the King's Guard for life, and
Yeah.
that's how it had been for
Which
generations.
she explains
Regardless
in
of
that.
change of
Regardless of the change of the
Right.
king, that's why he served 3 kings. So, and when he says, the King's Guard serves for life, she responds, she being Cersei, whose death, Sir Barristan, yours or your king's? Because they're saying that it's his fault that Robert died, which of course, Cersei killed him, or had a hand in killing him at least. But it seemed to me that everybody in the room kind of had their own reason for wanting Sir Barristan gone. For Cersei, it was a little bit of nepotism. She wanted Jaime to be the head of the Kingsguard, which meant that Jaime would sit on the council instead of Barristan. Yeah, and I don't think they wanted Barristan's voice or ears on that council. And
So was her plan all along to rule with Jaime?
I think that was her ultimate.
Yeah.
I mean, if she was planning to kill Robert anyway,
Right.
she was planning a line to the throne.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure with Jaime.
building their
Which is kind of like Victoria's mother and her boyfriend.
Mm.
That the real heir doesn't get to rule, but that the background people do have
Sure.
power.
Yeah.
And that comes to light in this story as well, too, I think.
Yeah.
People who you think are the focus of the story tend,
Are the power.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I think that really kind of shows you have Varys in the scene and Littlefinger in the scene, and so supportive of Cersei's decision, but meanwhile knowing she's making a mistake, but they're
Right.
just being, political yes men to
Yes.
whatever Cersei
Oh,
has to
Varys
say.
there's a great section where he's talking about, he kept saying he's for the realm. Isn't that
Right.
one of the quotes that
Yeah,
he
and
said?
that's one of the
Yeah,
questions
okay.
too, is actually that Varys, in his conversation with Ned, Varys claims that his only goal is peace. He says that he's here for the realm, and I marked down which page that was on because we liked that quote. But yeah, so Ned asked him, what are your own ends? What ends are those, Lord Varys? And peace, Varys replied without hesitation. If there was one soul in King's Landing who was truly desperate to keep Robert Baratheon alive, it was me. Because he says that he was for the realm.
Because he knew that all this war would break
All
out.
this war would break
Right,
out.
and he was really for himself. When he would say the realm, he was really for himself.
And that's kind of the. I mean, if that were true, that he were for the realm or for the people, or however they want to say it, books versus show. If that were true, he'd be like the most magnanimous man in all of all of the
Yeah.
Seven
He still
Kingdoms
had
or
to
Essos.
survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, he's still letting people die while he orchestrates. And we still don't know. There was this conversation in the dungeons that Arya witnessed.
Right.
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 And one of those people sounded a lot like Elio Mopatis, who was at the beginning of the book with Dany and
Yes.
Caesarea.
Yeah.
And then one of those other people, we know that Lord Varys can take on many disguises, and it sounded like one of the disguises that he visited Ned in. So if that's true, then that means that they were plotting this whole time, the two of them.
I didn't know he ever went to King's Landing. I thought he was with Daenerys.
Yeah, Illyrio went to King's Landing.
This was early on.
Yeah, in the show, I think they show this in the first season pretty explicitly. It's Varys and Illyrio.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't try to disguise who it is in the show. It's
that's
flat out.
not
So
enough.
so that's show confirmed.
Yeah.
we know now, with what our knowledge, we know that the idea that he's for the realm, for the people is kind of not accurate. Yeah. But he does.
He's very politically savvy, though. He manages to still, keep the confidence of the queen or.
Right. Yeah. He's served Aerys and managed to keep his place as the Master of Whispers even after the sack of King's Landing. He managed to stay on and serve Robert, and now he's serving Joffrey and
So he
Cersei.
stays close to the inner circle.
He's-
So I don't know if this is one of your questions, but Ned keeps coming through as this loyal, staunch, the stars.
I know.
It makes you love, but you knew he was doomed.
Felt that way a lot, didn't it?
It shows that being honorable, you're doomed if you're honorable.
All right, so this is one of the questions. So,
All right.
love and honor are themes repeated throughout a Game of Thrones. We see some characters choosing honor over love and vice versa. Is one more important or more valuable than the other? Is it a choice with a definitive winner or one where all decisions end in loss?
Oh,
Well, that's a good question.
Well, Daenerys loved Drogo,
Drogo,
I think.
Drogo, like Drogon.
Came to love Drogo.
Yeah,
She came to love him,
yeah.
but and I don't think she knew the what the cost would be by having the magic done to keep him alive, but he was dead anyhow.
Yeah.
So that was lost, but that was out of love. Ned was clearly
Honor.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Ned chose honor initially, right? When he tried to act against Cersei,
Right.
and he wanted to do what was right, and what was right to him was that succession goes to Stannis because Joffrey was not Robert's real blood.
and right there.
But eventually, Ned did choose love, because when Varys goes down to the cells, one of the things that he's talking to him about is Sansa pleaded for you
Your
so sweetly.
daughters.
If you don't confess to this treason, what's going to happen to Sansa? The queen has your daughter. If you don't confess, what happens to Sansa?
Right.
And what Ned says that he can't confess to something that's not true. It's just not what he can. It's not something he can do. but he did it because
To protect someone he
To
loves.
protect someone he loved.
Okay.
And it didn't
Yeah.
quite work out for him to shed his honor and,
Yeah.
and make that decision.
Well, they would have cut.
They probably
they
would've-
would have killed him anyway.
They probably
he
would
was
have killed
dead.
him anyway.
But Sansa, what did she win? I mean, Joffrey was horrible.
There's no
Yeah.
prize.
There's no prize for Sansa,
No,
that's for
oh,
sure.
Sansa.
And if we
Sansa's if you're from Cleveland.
but if you-
That's the Cleveland version of Game of Thrones. Drago.
but coming up soon, we would have the
therapy after this.
sand snakes, and that would blend in too much. Sansa, sand snake, Sansa. I'm talking about Dorne later on in the. But so that's one of the honor versus love is one of the more interesting conversations. It's also the one where we find out about Aemon Targaryen's heritage is when he's talking after Ned's been taken at prison,
Yeah.
and Jon and Aemon are
Right.
talking, and Aemon is saying, "Do you ever wonder why the men of the Night's Watch take no wives and father no children?" Jon shrugged, "No. So they will not love," the old man answered, "for love is the bane of honor, the death of duty." And he goes on to ask him, "Tell me, Jon, if the day should ever come when your Lord Father must needs choose between honor on the one hand and those he loves on the other, what would he do?" And at this point, Jon says to himself, "He fathered a bastard, and where's the honor in that? And your mother, what was his duty to her? He will not even say his name." So Jon then says he would do whatever was right, no matter what. And then Maester Aemon says, "Then Lord Eddard is a man in 1,000.
So that scene, it said to me, was basically telling Jon if he wants to leave,
Yeah.
he should leave to take
Well,
care of his family.
He can't because Jon would be beheaded as a deserter of the Night's Watch.
Yes, but he was saying that there are choices. He
Yeah,
made
he made
choices to
choices.
stay.
He made choices to
So-
stay, and
but it seemed like he was setting Jon up.
he was. Well, I think
He was
saying
telling him how important it is.
how important it is to fulfill your honor and your duty,
obligation.
your honor and your duty and your obligation is to the wall and not
Right.
to your family.
Right.
And that's why he goes on
To
to
not make
Yeah.
those
Run
bonds.
away?
for not
No.
to break those bonds, and
I
that's
thought
why he
was
goes
like
on
saying,
to
I
say,
made a choice, and
yeah, he does
He
go on to
regretted
say,
it?
yeah,
His
he
choice.
goes,
Yeah.
3 times the gods saw fit to test my vows.
Yeah.
Once when I was a boy, once in the fullness of my manhood, and once when I had grown old. By then my strength was fled, my eyes grown dim. Yet that last choice was as cruel as the first. My ravens would bring the news from the south, words darker than their wings, the ruin of my house, the death of my kin, disgrace and desolation. What could I have done, old, blind, frail? I was helpless as a suckling babe, yet still it grieved me to sit forgotten as they cut down my brother's poor grandson and his son and even the little children. And that's when Jon says, "Who are you?" And Maester Aemon replies, "Only a maester of the Citadel, bound in service to Castle Black in the Night's Watch. In my order, we put aside our house names when we take our vows and don the collar. My father was Maekar, the first of his name, and my brother Aegon reigned after him in my stead. My grandfather named me for Prince Aemon the Dragon Knight, who was his uncle, or his father, depending on which tale you believe. Aemon, he called me, and that's when Jon says Aemon Targaryen.
Gives me
And
the chills.
it does, yeah, this is such a great.
Yeah.
So then he says once, "So you see, Jon, I do know, and knowing I will not tell you to stay or go. You must make the choice yourself and live with it all the rest of your days as I have."
see, I think it,
Oh,
yeah.
Sure.
Somebody wanted to know the name of the artist who created the
Oh, Scott Kettle.
Scott Kettle.
Scott Kettle.
SCOTT Kettle, KETTLE.
Great.
And he has other great fantasy works.
For our program, and it's a painting of all the direwolf pups. It's
so
adorable.
cute. It's so
So if
cute.
you come, he will be coming to the feast.
I believe he will be coming to
So
this.
and maybe we can get him to bring that piece again.
We can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask where
Yeah.
he displays it or where you can purchase it or.
He actually specializes, I think, in
He's a
murals.
muralist.
So it's on people's
Right.
walls and their
Oh.
houses.
So if you see the poster behind, he never had a copy of that because that's a mural in
Right.
someone's home here in Plymouth.
That's incredible.
That's how we were connected with him. So we took pictures of that and had that transformed into a poster.
Gotcha.
So it's really
Yeah.
his colors are great, and he has a great Facebook page, so you
Yeah.
can see his artwork on that.
Great.
Was that Karen also?
No.
Someone else?
Somebody else.
Do we have anyone from Australia or
I
Chicago yet?
asked the question. Nobody responded.
No one is
No.
telling us where they're calling from.
So John does try to leave, though, right?
Yes.
He gives
Yes.
in to that urge once he
Yes.
finds out about his father's death.
Mhm.
Then he feels like he needs to be with
with
Rob.
Rob.
He needs to be fighting the war. He needs to be taking vengeance against the Lannisters, and you know, he needs to be with his brother. And of course, his friends then go after him and convince him he needs to come back.
Remind him of his oath. And
Remind him of his oath. He has no family. He has the Night's Watch. And
But then they brought up about his uncle.
yeah, his uncle Benjen, who's lost, and
Right.
and that's when
And the Monday morning, quarterbacking afterwards.
yeah.
I know that there's something with Danny and John down the road, and there might even have been postings on Facebook from responses to the Citadel.
Yeah. It's hard to. You're gonna have to binge watch the whole.
Well, I figure it might take 2 years to read the 5 books at this rate, so.
You're gonna have to binge watch to get through and get spoiler free as soon as possible. So I think
that must be hard to walk around here.
Yeah.
It really must
so
be.
many of us who
I
watch
watched your Monday morning,
so many of us watch it,
Yeah.
and that's not even everybody who watches
Right.
it, and we all want to talk about it. I said to somebody the other
it must
day,
be really hard.
yeah, I said to somebody the
Has it
other
been
day, I
hard
feel
for you
like all
guys?
my conversations at work
Yeah.
now are all about Game of Thrones, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
And I said that, and it was funny. I said that, and then like 2 seconds later, a text came through from somebody in town about Game of Thrones. So I was like,
Yeah.
Karen says, in the end, Ned chose love of his child over honor, but it was too late.
yeah, it was too late, and to Joffrey, right? Because
Well, I love this so I really like this Sansa, thinking that Joffrey is her prince. I mean, I think Martin really plays off this Prince Charming and Cinderella theory that Sansa has, that life's going to be wonderful. And boy, did he nail that, clear that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't feel that way anymore.
Not at all. He
Yeah.
couldn't have killed it any worse.
No, he killed it. He killed it pretty bad.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so that kind of warms my heart.
Yeah.
That's how I feel in life.
In a brutal kind of
Yeah.
way.
It was because that's what I think is reality. I wouldn't trust Joffrey.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, my Joffrey,
My prince.
Yes,
Yeah.
my prince, because he lied early on, and
Oh, yeah.
and her butcher friend got killed.
Well, that was Arya's butcher friend.
And
yeah,
wolf.
yes, Arya's
Yeah.
butcher
But
friend.
her
lady
wolf
was-
got killed. Yeah,
For
beautiful
her.
lady.
But
Yeah.
so
And she knew he was lying, and she still stood by him against
Yeah.
her sister.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
he was her golden lion,
Right.
her prince,
Right.
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 And I think it did take this really horrific act, she blamed the queen, or she blamed
Right.
Arya for what happened to Lady. It was easy for her to kind of transfer that.
Yeah.
Well, I also like that she gave in and wrote the letters, and then Caitlin saw and knew that she had been pressured into writing the
Oh
letters.
yeah, she took
So,
one look
I mean,
at it.
it was just good stuff.
Yeah.
Good writing in
Yeah.
Yeah, it really
But I
is.
You think?
I think one of the, getting back to, Sansa after Ned's beheading, I thought one of the great moments, and this was a great moment on the show too, is because you have her as being this romantic little
Yeah.
fool, but
Yeah,
when
starry-eyed girl,
starry-eyed girl. But when he takes her up to the parapet or whatever, and he's making her look at the heads of her
Yes.
scepter, the heads of her father, and he's
Yes.
forcing her.
Yeah.
And she stands there stone faced and says, "How long do I have to look?" You see that
see a
inner
change in her.
strength, that iron coming out, and this girl who used to be so flowery.
Yeah.
And
It's true.
then when she has the, I don't know, gumption or foolishness or whatever to say, maybe my brother will bring me your head.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Is
Sansa.
that what's his name hit her?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, she got
I
hit.
found it interesting that they had that Joffrey had. Is it Merwin?
Yeah, Meryn Trent. Meryn Trent.
But he makes a comment that my mother says,
I'm not supposed to hit my lady wife.
Yes,
so.
yeah.
And which
So you
but
do
you
it.
do it.
Yeah.
Which would be a lesson that Cersei would teach him, because Robert used to beat her.
Yeah.
So you could see her saying, "Do not ever beat your wife," but she doesn't ever say to him. This is kind of like a typical teenager sort
Yeah.
of thing, right? You didn't use the exact words
Yeah.
of not.
We didn't
don't
say,
say,
"Couldn't do
don't
this."
say no by acts of violence. So you just said, "I couldn't hit her."
Yeah.
I didn't make the connection that Robert hit her, and that's why. Okay.
And that day that he hit her in front of Ned wasn't apparently the first time that she'd ever been hit by him. But
I didn't know that either.
She said to him, "I will wear this like a badge of honor."
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Karen says she's not watching the show, but she hopes Sansa gets some revenge.
Takes a while.
Oh,
I mean, Sansa.
don't give this away.
I know,
Don't give
sorry.
anything away to me.
Nothing's easy for anyone.
Yeah.
In these
They
books.
all have long and
everybody
painful
comes by
roads.
what they get.
Well, okay,
And,
so to your point, Karen, that if you want her to get her revenge, does that then turn her from this golden-eyed, happy girl and make her a bad person because she wants revenge?
everybody.
Can you only be one or the
Yeah.
other?
Everybody shades of gray in these book stories, right? There's nobody here is perfectly good or perfectly
Well, I
bad.
think that's Ned. Ned, that's exactly.
They described him as perfectly good.
Yeah.
No, not when John said. When John says, but he
fathered a
He
bastard.
fathered
Right,
a bastard,
right.
and it wasn't good to the wife. That showed he wasn't honorable.
Right.
Although I'm not sure because wasn't it before he was married to Caitlin?
It was after he was married.
Oh,
to Catelyn.
after married. Okay.
Because is John the same age as Rob?
John's
right?
about the same. Yeah, like a few
So
months.
while
younger.
Catelyn was pregnant.
Yeah.
So do we talk about Bran at all?
We could talk about because wasn't that
weak towards the end, wasn't it?
look what a great scene that was with Bran though, having the nightmares about seeing his father in the crypt, and then when they go down there and Maester Luwin's like, "There's nothing in here," and then Shaggy Dog jumps out and bites his arm, and Rickon comes running out of the crypt. "Stay away from my father!"
Yeah.
This little 4-year-old all full of fury because Rickon had the same dream that his
Right.
father was in the crypt. That was a really.
Yeah,
it was
how
only
did that happen? How did they both have the same dream?
the Stark children have certain
Ability.
abilities.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Abilities. So they
You're sounding
so-
mysterious.
It is mysterious.
It is hard to
Does that come out
not.
later
It's
on?
hard not to give stuff.
Does that come? Oh, okay.
Gradually.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, we already have seen Bran having the dreams of the three-eyed
Yes.
raven and being
Yes.
able to
Fly,
fly.
yes,
And it was
yes.
the raven who took him into the crypts. And we don't have Rickon as a point of view character at 4 years old. I don't think he'd be a very valuable point of view character. But Rickon had the same dream, and. But I thought that was a great scene, Maester Luwin. "Oh, you guys, you're so silly with your dreams. It's not true." And then he gets the raven, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna have to find someone who can carve his likeness."
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured that one. So did Bran and Rickon go off to safety somewhere?
No, Bran and Rickon are still in Winterfell at the end of this book.
And they're okay.
Yeah, they're still in Winterfell right now, which is one of the things that. And this is one of the questions in here somewhere. But one of the things that Kat struggles with is that she's being pulled in all these different
Yeah,
directions.
right.
So she has her children in the north, her two youngest up in the north.
Right.
She doesn't know what's going on with her girls.
So no matter what choice she
And
makes,
she
she
knows
feels
Ned
wrong.
does she know Ned is dead? She
At one
knows
point,
Ned.
yeah.
Yes, she does.
Dead or captured, at different
No,
points.
and
But, yeah.
towards the end,
Towards the end, she
definitely
knows.
knows.
And then
Yeah,
her
yeah.
father is dying.
Yes.
Her
Brother.
at that point in the story, her brother had been taken, and then her brother had been released. So her brother had been through some time, and then you have Rob, who's struggling to
Right.
fill this role. He has not yet
As a
been crowned
boy,
king of the
really.
North. Yeah, as a child, has not yet been crowned king of the North, but is about to be. And she's really very
Torn,
conflicted. She's
literally.
yeah, very conflicted.
Yeah.
Very conflicted. And one of the things that I see happen a lot on Game of Thrones and Song of Ice and Fire discussion boards is there's a lot of second guessing of Catelyn's decisions of what she chooses. Should she have gone to Winterfell to be with Bran and Rickon? Should she have stayed with Rob? It's how do you know what is
Right.
best?
But didn't she want to be with her father?
She wanted to visit
Yeah.
her father before he passed away. Yeah,
And is that where Rob was?
that's where Rob was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So talk about rock and hard place. Like how do you
But no matter
choose?
what choice
Yeah.
you make, yeah.
But what I liked about what she did was when Rob would go off a little, hot-headed, she knew not to mother him in
Yeah.
front of his men,
Right.
and and so she would pose a question in a way that he would come to the right answer. So I thought was very good.
She was very
Yeah,
good at
she's
advising.
smart,
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, she's very smart about that.
Whereas Cersei, I think, was a baddie.
Yeah, well, different parenting styles.
To say the least.
Yeah, and right now, Cersei's actually not just Joffrey's mother, but the Queen Regent. She's actually, at the end of the book, she's ruling in Joffrey's stead. So Joffrey is the king, but he's mostly the king in name, where Cersei's doing the actual ruling.
Except for his bad behavior.
Yeah, except for like when he randomly
and this all
decides to
this,
stop off.
beheading and all that. And then they said someone, who was it who was talking about, we've got to get that under control. That's
Tywin.
Tywin.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's why he sends. So you can see that we're setting Tyrion up for quite the storyline in A Clash of Kings,
Yes.
going to King's Landing and trying to get Joffrey under control. Good luck, right?
Right, yeah, right.
So Daenerys assumes that because she saved the Lamb woman from mistreatment at the hands of the Dothraki, that the women will be loyal to them. One of them, Mirri Maz Duur, betrays her. What lessons does Dany learn from this experience? So this was a very interesting series. It's about three Dany chapters in a row that this progresses, where Khal Drogo's Khalasar takes the settling of the Lamb people. I don't know, they just refer to them as Lamb men, so I'm not really sure what they're and burns their temples, kills their men,
Takes their women.
and Dany starts collecting the girls, saving them from being the spoils of war. And she seems to believe right away that this means that I saved them, so they're going to be indebted to me, they're going to be loyal to me. And so right away, after Khal Drogo has his injury from that battle, she assumes that Mirri Maz Duur, being someone who she just saved, she has all this trust in this woman, and tells her to treat Khal Drogo because she has learning of.
But
Magic.
the woman did say the price is death.
She said, not at that point. At the beginning, when he just has the cut, she's going to treat it. But what happens right away is that it festers.
Right.
So it has to make you wonder: did she do that right from the very beginning? Because they didn't get the proper healers are using this Mirri Maz Duur, and if she knows these dark arts, knows these dark things, and she's so vengeful at the end of the book, what are the chances that she did actually something?
All right.
So because
It's a hard lesson for Dany.
yeah, in the very next chapter, he's on top of the horse and he's too weak to ride, and he has flies flying all over him, and he's not dead yet, but he's well on his way, and the black skin has started to grow like gangrene around this wound, so
Well, the lesson she learned, she took care of her in the end.
she sure did, and
Dany showed some revenge.
Dany absolutely did show some revenge, and she showed a little fire and blood,
Yes.
which is what the Targaryens are known for. It's their words underneath their pin.
Right. I have mine
Fire and
this
blood. And she I think she not only learned not to necessarily trust everyone, or did learn I think even a more important message as a ruler, that just because you do something that you feel serves the people well doesn't mean they're going to feel grateful
Indebted
to
to you.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not going to feel indebted or grateful to you. And I think that I'm sure any number of our politicians can tell us that's because that's just part of being a ruler. You feel like you're doing something good or making good decisions. Or maybe as being a director, and you don't necessarily feel that you're getting the kind of, the response that you thought you would.
Right.
And here, Mirri Maz Duur is like, you may think that you saved me. You didn't save me.
Only the dragon.
Already been. She had already been. Already had violence committed against her. Her whole way of life was destroyed.
Yeah.
And so Dany saved her from nothing.
Right.
But
I want to talk about the birth of
so we're getting there because
the lizard.
so one of the other things that Mirri Maz Duur does.
That was pretty creepy.
It was
I can't even
creepy,
imagine
right?
seeing it on the show.
Can you imagine? So they
now I
don't
want to see the show.
Yeah. So, but now it's kind of.
You could watch season 1.
I
can
watch
watch
season
season
one,
one.
no
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
And but it is kind of amazing that it goes through this. She's brought in during this ritual, and that's another thing that Mary Mazdor taught her is that only death can pay for life.
Right.
So through these rituals, she's actually the one who teaches her what she needs to do to hatch these dragon eggs.
Right.
But then when Mary Mazdor is is in her thralls of her dark blood magic, and she's doing her dance to do whatever it is she's doing for Khal Drogo that ends up making him into kind of a brain dead zombie sort of thing. And Jorah brings in Dany because he doesn't have anybody who knows how to birth babies. Something happens, right? And the death that ends up paying for Drogo's life is the babies.
But I thought that was obvious that was going to happen.
See, maybe yes and maybe no. Because was it obvious to Dany or was it not? Because she has...
No, it wasn't obvious to Dany.
But if
she was in throat...
Because she does have a moment when Mary Mazdor says to her that only death can pay for life, and Dany goes, my life? And or my death? And she wraps her arms around herself protectively and says, is it my death? And no, Mary Mazdor promised, not your death.
Right.
Then Dany says, do it.
But she didn't say my baby.
She didn't ask.
Because
she didn't ask either whose death it was going to be. Then the horse is brought in.
Right.
And they cut the horse's throat. And they said, we need the blood. But then,
Dany
40
was saying
pages
she
later,
thought it was the horse's
she
death.
says that, but then she also says in her internal monologue, did I believe that? Was that what I thought? Did I know that it was going to be this price?
So to me, it seemed like if you had, like Sophie's Choice, if you had a choice over your husband's life or your unborn baby who's supposed to rule the world and stallion
the stallion who mounts the world.
Aren't you supposed to save the baby?
Well, so this is what Dany says.
No, my mother would have saved the father.
Right.
Yeah. So this is what Dany says. You warned me that only death can pay for life. I thought you meant the horse. No, Mary Mazdor said. That was a lie you told yourself. You knew the price. Had she? If I look back, I'm lost.
And I do like that she kept saying, if I look back, and that was her power, her mantra.
Yeah.
She was using a mantra.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it did teach her how to it ended up being kind of a ritual where she was reborn stronger. She was reborn a stronger version of Dany.
And then when she gave birth, it was very Rosemary's Baby-ish.
Yes, it was very horror movie. Yeah,
wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah,
When she gave birth, it was all right, Tom, cover your ears. So it was a lizard baby full of maggots.
How many people on Facebook remember Rosemary's Baby with Mia Farrow?
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
And who was the guy? Who's Robert?
I don't remember.
The doctor. Okay. Anyhow.
Yeah. So
That's next year's book, Rosemary.
maybe we can add it to the schedule in the Supernatural. We'll add it in October.
Yeah. We didn't think about that.
We did not think about that.
We might have had a little bit of enough blood and guts for a bit, although you get kind of used to it.
You do. You become
I
more
love
used
this
to it,
off
Tom,
of
I
the
swear.
head stuff.
Yeah.
Heads on pipes.
But so she's reborn from this experience stronger. We get her first "I am Daenerys Stormborn" speech, the first of many. I am Daenerys Stormborn, Daenerys of House Targaryen, of the blood of Aegon the Conqueror, Maegor the Cruel, and old Valyria before them. I am the dragon's daughter, and I swear to you, those men will die screaming. That's now that has become kind of a typical Dany speech.
Right. Yeah.
But at that time, that was the very first one.
So was it this? She was in fire. This was the part I wasn't. So Drogo was being burned,
Yes.
and is it Jory? Who's
Sir Jorah.
Yeah, he didn't want her to run into the fire.
He was afraid she was going to try to kill herself by
Right.
throwing herself on the funeral pyre.
Right. But what did she do? Walk through fire? Did she?
She walked
Into
slowly,
the
calmly,
fire.
directly into the funeral pyre.
Yes.
And then once everything had burnt away,
Yes.
she was sitting in there naked, and on the show, in the book, her hair is burnt down to the scalp, but she is completely unharmed.
Yes.
And she has 3 baby dragons
Yeah.
who have hatched from her eggs. The eggs that she brought in.
Suckling on her breast. It's been great.
didn't happen in Victoria.
So we
Are
get
they pretty? Are they pretty dragons, or are they scary on the show?
They're
they're
babies.
babies. They're little babies. They're baby dragons. They're baby dragons. So it's this guy, but a baby. So he's the one that was on her shoulder, Drogon.
Oh my
They
god!
cough smoke.
They do. They're so cute. Like
Yeah, no vapes, like vapes.
yeah. So yeah, she has Rhaegal, Viserion.
Who's in
and
charge
Drogon.
here? Who's running this
I
show?
don't know. But yeah, so
Okay.
she earns the respect of everybody who was going to abandon her and take her to base Dothrak after that. Now they're all bowing down in the sand dunes.
They were rebelling against
So-
you, you know.
So I found that a very satisfying ending to this book because knowing that there's more, I'm thinking that he's got to be setting up the next
Yeah.
round. Although I obviously didn't have time to process that in my mind as to what's the next. It sounds like
Because there's so much
Tyrion,
unsettled.
yeah,
Yes.
Tyrion,
Yes.
and then you've got Rob and all that stuff. But ending it on that note was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So I would say that was a great ending.
Great ending. Great ending. Probably a good place to end this book talk too, since
Oh,
we're
it's
already.
time.
But
Okay.
I did want to talk about Lord Frey and how come he gets to live to be 90 when somebody. But another time.
Well, did he annoy you? Do you know any elderly people who are like that?
I have. But one of the things that in this world, you don't get to see a lot of people making it to that age. In fact, I
Right.
think most of the people
Is
we hear about
that-
dying, like the median is like 45.
Yeah.
It seems to be
Yeah.
really the maximum. And here you have Lord Frey, the late Lord
Yeah.
Frey, as Hoster Tully would like us to call him, living to be 90 years old
Right.
and with like this
See, I didn't pick up on
incredible
that.
lineage.
I didn't pick up the 90 years old in this short age range.
Karen says, Dany has the best claim to the Iron Throne.
She does.
She
Nah,
does.
That's why she was always my pick.
Your
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah, she does. She has the most legitimate claim right now. I mean, the Targaryens were conquered, but they weren't defeated. They weren't completely wiped out. So right now, especially with all the turmoil, Dany has the best claim. So, and now we start the War of the Five Kings, going into Clash of Kings.
So what do we have next?
What do we have next? So
Yes.
next week we are going to have at 6 o'clock on next Wednesday. We'll have the books versus show talk. So we will spend a lot of time talking about this past season of Game of Thrones and this current season of Game of Thrones, because we are now in the realm of no books. So it's what do we think might happen based on what we know happens in the books or the spoiler chapters that we've had, and what is happening, because now that next week we will be more than halfway through the
I
season.
know the books start to differ from the show, and this is the only first book I've.
Yeah, and we'll talk
right.
about that a little bit without being like too spoilery if you haven't read the
Yeah.
books. But we will get into the differences and how we are now in the land of no books. And at this point, we will be halfway through season 7. So I anticipate a good amount of discussion that will be full of wild speculation for what will happen in the last 3 episodes, because everything's moving very quickly.
Yeah.
On the show
But
right
it's
now.
not the last. There's still one more.
There's still one more season that's only going to be 6 episodes, released sometime next year.
Okay.
So thank you everybody for joining us.
Can I mention one thing?
Sure.
We had been planning a second book talk for tomorrow night down in Manomet. However, we've canceled that. So if anyone was planning to attend that, we moved it up here instead, and it's been quite wonderful.
Yes.
So thank you, and I have to
Thank
tell
you
you, I
very
just
much.
had a blast reading this.
Well,
Yeah.
I hope everybody
Really?
enjoys it. I hope everybody picks up a Clash of Kings.
3
Yeah.
baby dragons at the
Yeah.
end.
It's very exciting.
I wonder if I'll have dreams tonight.
Dragon dreams. You'll wake up.
So, are we signing
And
off?
we're signing off.
Bye,
Bye.
Drogo.